Hey guys, welcome to a very special edition of ARTV. My name is John, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Kitten self-titled record with the help of someone that you probably know, Mr. Anthony Fantano of the Needle Drop. But before we get to that, it was a little upsetting. We realized after the fact that we did our Google Hangout that the video was only on me the entire time, even though I could see him and he could see me. For some reason, YouTube and Google Plus decided not to record his side, so it's going to be just an audio conversation between us with some visuals that I will add in. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Facebook. The links to those are in the description down below, as well as my P.O. Box. The information for that is down there as well. You guys can send me letters, art, whatever you want to. I'm going to be doing it in my Letter from a Fan series on Beyond ARTV, which is my second channel on Sundays. Anyways, some background on the band before we get into it. Well, they're hardly a band anymore considering the majority of the members have left, but they've released 3 EPs to date, and a culmination of those tracks appear on this self-titled debut record. There are some tracks that really do jump out and stand out to me. They kind of have this electrifying feel about them. I want to go ahead and jump over to the conversation with Mr. Anthony Fantano. I appreciate him taking part in this video, so make sure you hit the like button on this one. Let him know that you enjoyed our collaboration, and go check out his channel if you have not already. Alright guys, I'm here with Anthony Fantano of the Needle Drop, the internet's busiest music nerd. I'm sure he needs no introduction, but thanks for coming on and chatting with the Kitten record with me today, Anthony.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So what are your overall feelings, just the first time listening through the record? Was there anything that really just jumped out to you about this band's style?
Yeah, that it's a total freaking throwback. I mean, that sounds like 80s new wave pop to the 10th degree. You know, it sounds like they've taken new wave 80s pop and put it on the highest artistic altar that you possibly can, and they're doing blood sacrifices to it. You know, as
every night they're bowing down.
Yes.
Chloe Chaidez is actually the leader of this group, and she's only 19 years old. I don't know if you knew that or not, but
I believe it. I mean, she looks young on the cover. She sounds young in the vocals, and you know, there are actually a lot of young bands that are doing this throwback stuff right now.
I think Churches is another example of a band that kind of did that with a younger female singer, but it's definitely even to a fault. It's sometimes, I would say, with this record, the nostalgia factor. I think at times it drowns.
Oh yeah, most definitely. You know, see, the thing is that a lot of the bands who are doing this right now, I only like 1 or 2 songs from them. I don't really care for their whole record because, like you said, the nostalgia either becomes distracting or the songs really stink. And it seems like the nostalgia factor is the only thing that the music really has going for it. Churches I see is a little bit more modern, but there are artists like, I don't know, Charlie XCX or Sky Ferreira, who I see as even bigger throwbacks in a sense musically. But this record surprised me because with the first track, of course, my stomach sank a little bit because I was like, oh no.
Yeah, here it comes. The whole record is just going to be
a band trying to relive the 80s.
Exactly.
You know, I like Madonna and Pat Benatar and all that stuff and so on and so forth already. I don't need somebody else to just rehash it for me. But I actually thought there were a lot of great songs on this record. Like I said, you know, what really ends up disappointing me is not just the nostalgia, but that the songs aren't that good, you know, and that all anybody is listening to really is sort of the production value of these old school artists, but nobody has the songwriting chops. They're all just you know, learning the production techniques and stopping there. And this band actually has great songs to back up these old school sounds. I mean, I think Like a Stranger has a fantastic hook. I think the song Cathedral, especially with the crescendo with the explosion of saxophone, on the bridge on the song, it's that song is a summer jam. It is such a summer jam.
That is one of the highlights of the record for me, no doubt. I love the synth line on Cathedral, and I think that was something that it just felt like it had this tantalizing synth that really bumped and peaked whenever that sax came in, and just had this overarching theme of, yes, it does sound like the 80s, but at the same time, it's something that I could easily see myself, maybe even Cal Chesta jamming to out on the dance floor, you know, one of those summer nights.
It's just a good song, you know. I actually think like almost the first half of the record, songwriting wise, is like nearly flawless. I mean, I think everything is a really good tune. You know, Like a Stranger, great tune. Sex Drive, really funky bass line on that track. Totally reminds me of like Rick James or Prince or something with the rhythm section anyway. I'll Be Your Girl, like another great ballad. Maybe not as like quite as blissful or like 80s radio worthy as Cathedral. And Sensible is the only track that really stuck out to me stylistically because it reminded me a lot of Crystal Castles.
Okay, I can hear that. It reminded me personally a lot of Karen O from the Yeah Yeah Yeahs in terms. Yeah. It felt like maybe even like a B-side or something that came from the writing sessions from like their album Year Zero to me personally.
Yeah, I mean, just for me, the really stuttering vocal sample on that track, it reminded me of something from the first Crystal Castles record. Like, the only slump that I feel like the record hits, the first slump that I think the record hits, is maybe around, like, G Sharp and Why I Wait. And mostly because those songs are, like, the two shoegaziest of the entire record.
Right.
While I do think that Kitten does have good vocals and they do have good songs, I guess they're not that great, in my opinion, at doing like a hazier track like these two. You know, it's a bit of a lull in the album for me.
Actually, G Sharp for me actually was one of my favorite tracks on this record. I thought that one was well done, but I'll agree with you on Why I Wait. That one is my hands down least favorite track on this record. To me, it gets really annoying because it's kind of got the whispered, like the verses going on, and then the chorus is very repetitive.
Yeah, there are quite a few spoken word vocals on this record. Yeah. You know, like some instrumentation sinks back and it's like, I love you, yes I do, and just like really going, just toning it down a little bit and going for something really sensual, like whispering in your ear, all sexy like. And that's another thing this record has. This record has like a supreme amount of sex appeal. You know, I would say there's like a lot of sensual, sexy, sort of heartbroken lyrics all over this thing.
That's something that came out strange to me, just not to keep bringing up her age, but the fact that she's 19 and a lot of these songs were written when she was much younger. These come from their previous 3 EPs that were released dating back to 2011, I believe. And at the time, her being only like 16 years old and these songs being sung, they just don't feel like they have as big of a meaning behind them. I guess to her it feels like more like her manager or producer, Chad Anderson, wrote and handled a lot of these tracks, in my opinion.
What you just said about the EPs there is actually kind of interesting because this song did to me feel like a mixed bag of tracks. You know, there were some songs on here that felt a little redundant, like, oh, you know, here's a song that kind of sounds like another song on the record. Does it really need to be there? You know, plus the album is like over 50 minutes, and like for pop music that's this concise, it's not really a concise record. It does drag on a little bit, I think.
Yeah, that was definitely a complaint that I had with this thing, is some tracks did feel rehashed. You get to the latter fourth of the album, I should say, and I'm feeling like I've already heard these ideas that they had earlier in the album. It just feels like they're taking them and placing them elsewhere and then closing out the record on kind of a stale, kind of lengthy note.
Yeah, exactly. You know, while there are songs that I do like on the back end of the record, like Cut It Out has one of the most hard-hitting beats of the entire record.
Absolutely.
Devotion has a nice chorus, although I don't like the male verse that kicks the track off. Like, it kind of feels a little out of place. It doesn't feel as skilled as the vocals that I hear throughout most of the album. Yeah. Devotion's really good, but by the end of the record, like you said, I feel like it's not necessarily that the songs are getting terrible. I do think Apples and Cigarettes is an interesting acoustic closer.
Agreed.
It's a nice change of pace, and maybe even though I'm not in love with the tune, I do think it shows how emotive of a singer she is and how skilled of a singer she is. You know, she definitely sells that track, I think. But by the end of the LP, I guess I'm just like feeling a little just tired of their style, like a little tired of their sound, you know? Like, I feel like if Apples and Cigarettes, if they cut out 2 or 3 tracks and just brought that earlier, you know, and even if you brought out 3 tracks from the LP, yeah, it wouldn't be 10 songs, but it's still a pretty lengthy album. You know, you have 5-minute songs on this thing. You know,
Right.
The
And like
the band isn't writing 2-minute tunes.
right, and I don't know if 5-minute songs necessarily suit their style. I'm on some tracks, absolutely, it does fit, but I will agree with what you were saying on Apples and Cigarettes as well. I thought that that was one of the more interesting songs on this record, simply for the fact that I was getting so tired of their style, like towards the end, and it just kind of is a breath of fresh air whenever we hear the chorus on that one. Sure, it starts off with the kind of breathy whispering thing that we've heard a few times, but it definitely breaks into it more and like shows that she's capable of more as a singer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for me personally, overall, I mean, I think this is it's a pretty good rock, it's a pretty good pop record. Even though it is a throwback, I think they definitely make up for the overdose of nostalgia with really good tunes. It does run a little long, but there's enough talent here to make me want to listen into what they do next, hoping they sort of cut out the fat a little bit and just render everything down to their best songs, their best elements, and then just write, you know, a 1-2 kind of punch of a record, you know, because even though this band has a lot going for it, I feel like overstaying their welcome is what can kind of hurt bands who make records like this, you know, just like make something really strong, make something that really snaps and pops, and I could say I'm gonna love it. I can't say everybody else, but you know, I think Kitten is a band that deserves ears. I'm just sort of wondering when maybe this band is going to catch some ears and sort of get that same level of promotion the other people are who, you know, sort of have this immense nostalgic trip to their music.
A similar sound.
Like Sky Ferreira and like Churches.
Right, exactly. So overall for you, I know you go on a scale of 1 to 10. I go on a scale of 0 to 5. What are you feeling on your scale? We'll go with your scale here.
I think I'm feeling a strong 6 to a light 7 on this thing.
Okay, and for me personally, I would definitely, on your scale, I'm feeling a 7, which would translate probably on my scale to a 3.5 out of 5 for me.
That would be it.
Well, Anthony, thanks for coming on today. I appreciate you discussing the album with us. Make sure to check out his channel. The link is going to be in the description down below.
Yeah!
I hope you guys enjoyed this collaborative review between me and Mr. Fantano, also known as Anthony Fandango, Cal Chutestia. There's a lot of other aliases that the man goes by, but he is, in my opinion, the best music critic on YouTube, and it was an honor to work with him. So thank you, Anthony, for that privilege, and make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to this channel if you want to see more reviews. I really review a lot from the rock, electronic, pop side of things. If you're into that kind of music, I would suggest subscribing, and I appreciate everyone who did come and check out this review. Thank you so much for watching the video. I will see you very soon right here on ARTV Beyond the Reviews.